Good afternoon, Ngozi Talk Shows family. It's Nonsa here at Ngozi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I'm with Shireen Lovegrove, Carol Ann Cooper, and Kamau Aima. How are you guys?
Well, good,
Well,
thank you. And
we're
you?
good.
Yeah,
I'm
very well,
good,
thanks.
thank you. So, the topic today is the fire within, awakening the self you thought you lost. So there comes a moment when silence grows too loud, when the reflection in the mirror feels distance, and the dreams one day ablaze have dimmed beneath the weight of life's demands. So you may find yourself asking, where did I go? So in this guide, we invite you guys to join us while we share with you how to rediscover the fire that still flickers deep within. So Carol Ann, you chose this topic. Would you like to share with our audience what was the motivation behind the topic, please?
Mm, yeah, it was interesting because over the weekend I was doing a process on myself and in that process I realized that sort of the fire had been extinguished within me. And then I stopped that process at that point, and because I was going on to a meeting and with the Yes Group, which is a group that sort of sprung out of Anthony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within weekend. And what we looked at on that meeting was a video showing Anthony Robbins giving an intervention, and in there he spoke about the fire, and I'm going, how synchronistic is this, And actually, the fact that the fire is never really out. It just takes a spark to light it again, and then it just goes like crazy. And I thought, well, that's interesting. All of a sudden, I've been talking about the fire gone out, and I'm listening to that, and he was also saying that the fire in your heart never goes out. The passion and the desire to live life fully is always there. But sometimes it does feel like it's gone out, but actually it just needs a spark. And you think about a fire, all it needs is a spark, and it ignites again, and then it just off it goes. So that got me thinking, let's have an explore. How can that relate to, our lives, so personal development, and also in relationships? So that's where it's come from. So, sometimes we perhaps lose ourselves, and it feels like that fire within us to keep going has gone. How can we reignite it? What causes it to go out? What causes that disconnect, perhaps? So that's where it came from. So what were others thinking when they saw that title?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because while I was kind of looking at something else when I was kind of thinking about it, but actually it just reminds me of um, how do you just need a tiny ember, right? So when you hold a fire or you're trying to create a fire and you put things around and you blow into it and you blow and you get this fire going. I started to kind of think about your analogy more in the sense of that somewhere along the line, yes, the spark is always there, but there's something about how do we rekindle the spark? What is necessary to do that? And I suppose that just then brings me back is how do we lose it, or do we think we've lost it? How does it happen? And I know that working as a pregnancy coach, one of the things is a lot of mums feel overwhelmed by a lot of stuff that they do, and they feel exhausted, and they kind of find they're in a new role, and all of a sudden they lose their spot because they're just in the grind, right? But as you said, Carol Ann, the spark is always there. It's about how do we rekindle it? How do we find a way in? How do we do that blowing of oxygen into it so that we can then give it more kindling so it can take light? So that was what was going on in my mind as you were just dovetailing onto your beautiful metaphor, which is it just all of a sudden just brought that alive for me. So it's kind of recognizing even in the moment of thought, how when someone says something, how it can kindle a spark in something that you probably hadn't even thought of before. So that was kind of another illumination, so to speak. But yeah, Karma, what were your thoughts that were going on?
I mean, the first thing that came to mind when Caroline was explaining the topic and talking about it, it was purpose, it was ikigai, it was ubuntu, it was all of these different cultures that see purpose from a different perspective, and understanding that when purpose is within us, since it is within us, it's not something, as I've said many times, it's not discovered, it's not found, it's not lost, it's still there. Same analogy as the fire, that it's still there, it just becomes smaller and smaller. And connecting yourself a little bit more with that purpose of yours, with the concepts that keep you alive, that in a sense, from a cynical perspective, that give your existence meaning. I mean, the majority, as you were saying, Shireen, that that you go into a routine and you start forgetting about yourself. It doesn't mean that you are not partaking in something that is purposeful for you or for the future of your children or your family. It just seems to me that people forget where that purpose lies within that existence, and
Mm.
understanding that it perhaps the as purpose changes and evolves through time, so do we, and so we have to, in at the same time, change our perspective and move with it and evolve with it, so that that fire that you were talking about, Caroline, continues to grow. So these are the thoughts that came to mind straight away.
Nonsense.
For me, it was like I just felt like sometimes we dim our light. When Carol Ann was explaining the topic, that we dim our light, and then even Shireen, you mentioned in Kamal that we forget our purpose and stuff. So I think it's really, really important to be alert, to be in the present moment. And being in the present moment, it means take time sometimes to pause without judgment, and acknowledging that somewhere along the way, the light has been dimmed. It needs to be uh, when the light is dimmed, actually we go for survival. We forget the surviving thing, the love for love, acceptance, and simply because life it got loud, and so just need to bring it back alive.
I love that. Life got loud.
Yeah.
It can get very loud. And it's that external pressure from life, and modern life can get very fast, and it's that sort of, there's an expectation. It's sort of productivity. Are you being productive? Are you succeeding? And there's always that is there in the background, and that then can squash us. We sort of get caught up in that, and we lose that sense of ourselves, and we sort of have that disconnect. And I love what you were saying, Shireen, about, yes, that you become a mother, and that role gets taken over, and it's like you lose yourself in there. You get married, you're a wife, and you lose yourself in that role. And it's easy to lose yourself because it is that life gets loud in other ways. There's all those demands on you. And so it is very easy for the dreams that you had and that purpose that you felt you had to sort of diminish. And yes, I agree with you, Kamal. There is that purpose. There's a drive within you of life, and knowing that there is more to life, and you're here for a purpose. But everything else crowds in and and talks louder, and you sometimes miss that, or you not miss it in as much as you can't hear that whisper, because it is usually just a whisper. And I was doing a process last week, and I connected with something that happened at my birth, because I realized I was at a forceps delivery birth, and I reconnected with that whisper that was there, that just said, it's all going to be okay. And I completely disconnected from that, and it was still, oh God, there's that concern, that worry. And so it is that being able to go into that quiet, quieten out, somehow block out the loudness and all the pressures of life, and reconnect with yourself, that purpose, your higher intention, what you're here for. Separate out the roles, and sort of find yourself in this. And this is where going out into nature is beautiful. And this is where I love going into Green Park in central London. It's a park near Buckingham Palace. It's got all these beautiful, huge trees, the trunks on them. I just think they're huge and they're tall, and there's loads of them. And you can just feel this amazing presence and connection with nature. And sitting there and just meditating helps reconnect with yourself. So something like that can help you. Again, connect with nature will help to reconnect that spark, bring you back to that, what is your purpose here? And that excitement, oh yes, I could do this, or I could do that. And then it's sort of recognizing where all the chatter comes in, the limiting beliefs, where have they come from? They're the sort of things as well that can dim that fire and potentially put it out. But it's as you say, Shireen, it's blowing that bit of life back into it again. I love that. I remember when we had we used to have a fire in our house when I grew up. And we used to put the newspaper against it to draw the fire up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite dangerous, but it's what you did in those days when I think about it. But yeah, it's a way of drawing oxygen in, drawing that breath in to get the fire going. And it is, how can you do that? So beautiful question. Yeah. So that busyness of life gets loud. I really think that's beautiful. And it's just being able to turn the volume down.
Yeah. And, I think there are so many things in that, in all what everyone's bringing here. Because I think that, for each and every one of us, we go through these ebbs and flows, don't we? Where we feel overwhelmed, and all of a sudden we lose track or lose sight of what our purpose is. And also about being aware of what we need to do in order to activate it again, to activate what seems to have been quite dormant. And Namsa said that one of the things is to be really present. And it's so helpful to realize when we're not present. Even just that in itself allows that silent whisper, which you were talking about, Caroline, about you get to hear it. You get to hear that thing that you said, it's going to be okay, right? Because generally when we're kind of looking for our purpose, there are things, or a sense of uncovering our purpose, as I know someone else over here talks about. So uncovering our purpose and allowing it to spark. I think there's something about a real sense of connecting back to oneself and connecting back to the belief that there is more. that there is more that we're here to do. There is more. And it's not about there is more that we've got to be, the next prime minister or the next whatever. There is more in what we can contribute to life in some way. I think a lot of us feel that the purpose has to be that big, but actually the purpose isn't necessarily that big. Some people have big purposes and they strive for that, but the average person doesn't have big purposes. It's big just being present. That's
Yeah.
humongous. And we know that just by simply being present really activates our neural network in our body, but it really starts that building those areas of creativity, those areas that allow us to make deeper spiritual connections, and we start to see the connections with others. So I think that there's awakening the fire within, and just being aware and present that there is a fire even if you can't see it yet, and to just stay with that feeling of the spark, or even the idea of, as you said, Caroline, going into nature. But sometimes there are people that are depressed that don't want to go anywhere. So how do you do that? And you've got to have a certain level of some energy to be able to start finding your purpose. So one of the things, we talk about mental energy, but we need fuel for mental energy. Mental energy takes about 30% of the fuel in every bit of fuel that we have. So it takes a huge amount. So we need to be able to feed ourselves well, to give ourselves enough oxygenation, which going to the park is going to do that, isn't it? It's going to open us up to those areas. So even those simple little things, and drink more water, 3 key things, really important, to really start the process of igniting within your cells that then has a creative knock-on effect. And I think we don't think about each cell being a generator. I would suggest that we start, even if we feel overwhelmed, that we take a little moment to think, okay, how can I just generate one cell? One cell. How can I feed one cell? Give that one cell what it needs: a little bit of oxygen, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of water, a little bit of food that nourishes me, and a bit of and a bit of rest time. And you've got the perfect criteria to start an activation for a spark to happen, right? Because what is energy? It's just a different form of heat, a different form of fire. So in humans, it's a fire, right? In humans, it's energy. In the outside world, it's a fire. So yeah, how do we generate that so that we can then have it move into the areas of our mind, our soul, our body? So
Yeah,
that's what has been wandering around with me.
my mind is just wondering with what you're saying, and I love it because it fits very well with how I'm presenting, in a sense, certain things and certain ideas that you're talking about in the book that I'm writing. And one of them that is very important is I'm breaking down the myths of purpose. And one of them you mentioned is that a purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. Like if you look at purpose um, from cultural perspectives, especially the ideologies that are really impactful. If you look into purpose, you have in Africa, you have Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is a purpose is formed through the cultivation of relationships, right? The motto of Ubuntu is I am because we are. So if we can if we understand our place in that us, then purpose can be ignited again, right? Yes, we talk about the chatter and all the noise that is coming around us, and well, dimming us would not be it. It's just that we get lost within that noise outside of us, that we forget to listen to the noise that's within us.
Mm.
I don't believe in the dimming of the light of ourselves. I believe that if we dim ourselves, it's simply a depressive state or something like that. Um, dimming ourselves would be harsh on the person. Dimming ourselves meaning we can't see uh, any reason for anything that we're doing.
Mhm.
So if we consider that the chatter outside of us is louder, as Nomsa and then you were talking about, Carol Ann, then perhaps there is some noise outside that we could uh, use to be part of the us around us.
Mm.
The the other thing that I like as well about the Ubuntu is thinking about what we can achieve as people. So what part of me can be part of the grand picture of humanity? What can I provide to humanity? How can I embellish this humanity? And all of these points they point back to the purpose that I enjoy talking about so much. You have it in the Japanese system of ikigai,
Mm.
right? What
Mm.
can you contribute to society? Contribution is a big part.
Mm.
And you look at Okinawa, it's one of the largest communities of centennials living purposefully, living without illnesses, living healthy, living contributing to society, to the people around them. And there was this is also part of the thesis, right? Shireen, you remember when you were kind enough and helped me out and supervised it. I was talking about that there's something called the blue zone, and the blue zone is all of these areas in the world where they apply purpose in their life. And all of these small areas, you have Sicily, you have Okinawa, you have some of the Polynesian islands, you have many of them are islands, funnily enough, because they have to find some sort of self-sufficiency in their small land. And by doing that, they find purpose in everything they do by providing to the rest of the community and find purpose within or understand their purpose within that community. And so they manage to also uncover their own purpose in their way. So I don't believe in dimming ourselves in that sense.
Mm.
That's something that I wanted to mention. The as Shireen and you were mentioning, Caroline, these small things that we can do is just a walk, nature. I'm gonna go even a bit further and make it very simple. It is simply doing anything whatsoever that brings you a little bit of joy, brings you back to that childhood. Think of when you were a child, before I'm gonna say before 12, when all the chatter around you didn't matter and you did things that you enjoyed
Mm.
doing, that you dreamt, that you drew certain things, that you built certain things, whatever joy you find in that specific moment, as we're saying, we were living in that time, we were present with our toys, with our games, with our playfulness, with our childhood, and we found purpose in it. We understood our purpose in that small area until suddenly we started getting affected by the noise around us. We started getting conditioned by society, by elders, by teachers, by everything around us. And bit by bit, we forget the purpose that was driving us to dream. And so I'm on the same track as you, Caroline and Shireen. Do something that you enjoy. If it's sitting down and playing games on the computer, do it. It's good for your cognitive behavior. It's good for your reflexes. It's good for many other things, right? Read a book if you want to read a book. Have a special coffee like I have in the morning. Uh, being with your children doesn't necessarily mean doing things with them. For people with ADHD, we enjoy very much parallel play. I can't do the dishes if somebody talks to me, I'll do the dishes. And I'll have a conversation and everything because I'm not paying attention to my dishes. So do some parallel presence with your children if you must to feel that presence. Sit down. If one is playing a game, sit down. Can I watch? Yeah. Can I sit down and read and be there? Listen to them. Just presence. presence
Mm.
of mind, presence of mind actually in certain situations that allow you to connect with what makes you feel comfortable, brings a little bit of joy. And I'm not using the word happiness because you can be happy anytime. So yeah, that's my perspective so far. And I'm fascinated by this conversation, and it's bringing lots of great points and things that yeah are useful.
I love your use of the word joy, bringing joy in there. Right? It's not just happy. There's something about joy.
It's
It's that
joy, yeah.
spark, isn't it?
It's a
There's that.
spark, right? It's joy. It's different.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Nomsi, you're muted. Nomsi, you're muted.
I like it, Kamal, when you say do something that you enjoy. Because Carol Ann said you can go for a walk and go to the nature, and which is really amazing when you go to the nature and talk to the trees and talk to God, whoever you talk to, and just enjoy that walk is really important. And Kamal, you just said bring the you just before you were 12, because before we were 12, we didn't care about what people thought of us. We did what we did, and we did things that brought us joy, like Kamal said. That's why I go on Facebook and I post my videos dancing, because dancing brings me joy. Um, one of someone said to me, why are you posting your videos? Because they are downgrading your thingy, your uh they are downgrading you as a company owner and stuff. And I was like, no, it's actually that's who I am. And I went to a business event with one of the celebrities. There's this woman, Victoria. You met Victoria. She always arrange events with celebrities. And one of the celebrity, this guy said, what we forget is when we are business owners, we tend to take life too serious. If we dance, we don't want people to see our personality. If we play any instrument or anything, we don't really want people to see the real us. We want the people to see the really this serious person that wears suits and posty. There's no personality, there's nothing. And I was like, so I dance. Do you mean I can post? He was like, no, sir, you can post your dance video on LinkedIn or any post, any channel that you have, so people can see who you are, not the fake you that wants people to buy your products. So I think this is where Kamal comes in, that if we were to bring joy to people is to show people for who we are as people. And Carol Annie, you said connect. Um, yeah, you mentioned in the nature, and also, was it you or Shireen, being a mom, we become very, very serious. And the
Green.
responsibility, that was Shireen, the responsibilities become all about the children. And also, Shireen, you said connecting back to life is really, really important. Connecting to who we are, why we are here on earth. I think it's really, really important. And Kamau, you mentioned that what part of me, like Ubuntu, what part of me that can add value to humanity, and which is that's what we do in Africa. We always are happy. People wonder why we always are happy, even if we don't have millions and millions. It's because to us, it's about the giving. It's about what I can do for you while I'm here on earth. So, and now my personality that I had when I was in Africa is out, and people are getting confused. Even my children, they're like, Mommy, you never used to be like this, but we like this mommy, not that one. That is too serious. We like this one. So I'm like, I used to be like this, but I took life too serious. And the noise go over. So I thought I got to be serious and be this serious mommy, but it doesn't work. For me, I'm not used to it. It's just boring. Honest.
Boring.
Yeah, it's just boring.
What's
Life is
boring for you?
very serious. And taking
I mean, I
everything,
find people that are too serious boring.
they are boring, come
I mean,
on.
okay, I'm a teacher, right? We were talking earlier, we had activity day today at school, right? Where the students they're playing certain sports. There was football, there was I don't know what, there was volleyball, there was basketball and all of that. And yes, the teachers are there to make sure that everybody's there and present and that they're playing and they're being okay and just to watch them. And it's high school, right? So they're ranging from 16 to 18 and above. But why not join the children and play with them? And that's what I did. I played. Are you missing a? I'm playing with you. You're not doing anything. Do you want to play basketball? I know you like basketball. Come, let's play basketball.
Mm.
You want to play a different game? It's only for let's play volley football. Oh, what? Yeah, let's do this. And I'm a child. I like they understand that because they see me in class where I can be very serious, but I'm also joking around, and they
Mm.
see that shift, and they understand. Okay, so this is they understand the boundaries. They're learning boundaries, and that's what's also important in what we're saying. And is the are the boundaries that we're creating for ourselves, whether they're being too serious as a parent and focusing solely on the responsibilities, or are we focusing on
Yeah.
having responsibilities, but at the same time enjoying these responsibility with our children? Yes, we're doing it for them, but at the same time, we're also doing it for ourselves because we decided to have these children. So there is a part of it that is our own responsibility. It's ours for them. So as we're talking in Nomsa, it's this is part of the community. This is how we are together
Yeah,
for each other.
that's more like it. And also, Kamau, it means whenever the children have problems, they can actually come and confide in you because they've seen the different side of you. So they can sit down with you and say, "Are you free? I need to talk to you." And then they feel comfortable
Mm,
to be around you.
Mm. There's a connection, there's a bond that happens.
Mm.
And I always used to enjoy getting involved with things with the students at school. It's like, instead of this step
yeah.
back and be serious. And what was interesting was actually this what came up with this intervention that Anthony Robbins was doing. This person was talking about there's like two parts of him. One was the entrepreneur and one was the hippie. And it got me thinking as it, because when someone's going through a process, you find yourself going through it at the same time, which is, I think, absolutely brilliant. But I realized there was within me, there was the educator and the playful child. And realizing there's things around education and what you're told is you haven't got time for play, and it becomes too serious. And what I'm wanting to bring in is play and playfulness and that playful part of me. And I think this is where I've realized that disconnect in attempting to bring my business together. I'm wanting to bring play and playfulness back into the game of writing.
Mm,
And it's like, no, I haven't got time for that. I've got time. You've got to sit down and work through it and keep writing and push yourself. And no, there's ways of playing. And I've always been intrigued by the fact that when I was at Teacher Training College, we were actually taught how the importance of play. And there's actually a book about the importance of play and how play is fundamental to people being able to learn, and not just children, adults as well. But we get that sort of drummed out of us.
yeah.
And it's bringing that back in, that playfulness. So yes, what you said, Kamal, what was something you really loved to do and that you stopped? Start doing it again, play with it. And I love bringing in the metaphor because I love playing with jigsaw puzzles. I love playing games. And I will sit down and do a jigsaw puzzle and also bring in the metaphor with, if I'm a bit stuck with my writing, what am I saying to myself about this puzzle? And then I'll do some brain gym or maybe do some meditation or something, or just bring me into the present moment and shift my thinking. And then I'll go back to the puzzle again. And it's like all of a sudden pieces go ping, ping, ping. And I'm saying something different. And then my writing starts flowing. And so it's using jigsaw puzzles or games in that way. There's that playfulness, and it allows for fun and for an opening and a freedom, you know, with your writing. And you can bring that into any aspect of your life. I bring it into me actually creating my business, you know, what's happening with that, and play games or something. And what am I saying to myself as I'm playing the game? Because that's what I'm saying to myself about the business, something to, you know, build the business, or even around money, things like that, you know. It just brings out that deeper underlying beliefs that are driving you, and that you can actually then do something about it. Because until you notice them and really hear and capture that, you can't do anything about it. So it's playing with that, and just playing with life. You know, what's happening in your life? Who's showing up? It's like just recently, I noticed some of my cousins, they went away for a weekend, or, you know, for a few days. And I'm thinking, I didn't get invited. And I felt left out, and I felt like I was really quite upset and making them wrong. But then I thought, okay, let's play with this. This is what's really here in my face. When have I excluded others? You know, I felt excluded. So I'm playing around with that. And so I just bring it into a game. And then all of a sudden, things shift. I can get lighter with it. And it becomes less serious and less significant. And I want to shout and, you know, holler at them and make them wrong. It's like, no, I got to a place of, well, actually, I miss being with them. Let's just be in communication. Why do I have to be sort of angry about it and upset? All that happened is they went away, didn't get in touch with me and asked if I'd like to go. And I allowed it to mean something. So I've been able to move on from that and see what happens if I get in touch or not. Right now, that anger has gone, that's dissipated. That love for times I have spent with them is there. And, you know, knowing them and realizing that actually my life's on a different trajectory to theirs. You know, do I actually want to connect? Or am I happy with the trajectory I'm going on?
Yeah.
Who knows, in the future we might reconnect. But I can let it go and move on. It's not holding me back, because it was holding me back from doing something that was really important at that time, in terms of creating an event on Eventbrite on Saturday. I was wanting to put my mind to that, but I couldn't, because I kept being dragged away by the angry thoughts. And as soon as I let that go, it was like boom, boom, boom. The event got sorted and I was able to publish it, you know. So it's, yeah, playfulness really has a part to play. So certainly, what was something you used to do? Bring it back in again, play. And really get connected with that. So I'm going to bring together the educator and the playful child. Because going back to what I was saying about that intervention that I was watching, the entrepreneur and the hippie came together.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, why do we have to separate our lives in every part of our life? Why can't he be a hippie entrepreneur?
That's right.
It's
But
like,
he'd separated himself, and that's what he realized.
exactly, right?
And it's like, okay, realization that actually there was a common thread that each of them had, and it was getting back to that common purpose that they had. They had differences, but that was okay. They found that commonality, and they were able to come together. And it is what in us pushes us apart, because it's like, no. Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it? Yeah, there's so many things within that gold that everybody's put in here. And I certainly think that, as Nomsa, you were saying, just dancing around, letting people see who you are, and also have the flexibility to be able to go into another state so that they can see there are states that are relevant for appropriate for different times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that doesn't mean to say that you can't have both at the same time. It's about how do you swing between them? How do you swing between the different states? And that, it's interesting because I was thinking about the word play, and what really got me thinking is a lot of people that are very serious don't like the idea of play.
Mm.
They nah, our whole educational system is very much against play, right? But we know that the extraordinary happens in play. We know the
Yeah.
extraordinary happens when we're not thinking in the left brain. We need to be in the right brain in order to be creative. Now, people think that just because you're focusing and whatever that you get results, but actually it's about what we feel when we're thinking, right? What are we feeling when we think something?
Mm.
Because if we're feeling really good while we're still doing left brain stuff, that is play to some degree,
Mm.
right? That
Mm.
is play. It's about if we're feeling joyous and we're enjoying doing our website, or we're enjoying doing that, we are in play because it's something we're enjoying. And so I think one of the things that may be worth people is to really understand what is play and what's play for them. What are the words they can use that can then ignite them when they get a little bit bogged down? I think one of the things I love your analogy. You're going to be the playful child, and you're going to be the business person, or the person was the business person and the hippie. Well, we are from birth, we are in separation, right? And the way we are taught is separation because of the way our brain works. But of course, we know when we bring them together to work together, our left and our right side come together, then we get this wholeness that comes out. We can work with our left and our right side evenly. The ideas flow and they have a creative flair that sits with it. So that was what I was really thinking about in the sense of, one, what do we need to define for people? Have the flexibility to move between the systems, have an awareness when we're in one system and we need to bring another system in. So when we need to activate, when we are snowballed going down, narrowing down, how do we activate that to expand out so that both of us come forward, right? Well, we all have multiple personalities. It's just that we seem to have one core personality that integrates all of them and we present them at the same time.
Mm.
So that's the kind of thing that I was thinking about, and the igniting and the idea. So I suppose what I was thinking in the sense when Carmel said, oh, do this parallel processing, I can do this because that's part of ADHD. I think what's really key there is still to be aware about how are you generating in the sense of, like as Carol Ann said, you've got to be thinking about things. So how do we use our thought in this process to drive us to the next state? So, when I'm going to sit next to somebody and be present, how do I use that
Mm.
state to increase in purpose, to activate a desire? You were saying, Caroline, the idea of when you felt left out and you thought, I'm gonna let's work with this. Let's make it a game. Let me go and use this, whatever's reflected. If we think we're the mirror, whatever's reflecting in the game we choose or the task we take, it's not necessarily a game, but it's the reflection that we do within it, right? When we ask the question, how is this related to this? I'm
Mm.
choosing this. Like, I love needlework. So how would I be sticking a needle? How many times I look back and admire my work? How long is my thread? All of these things, when you start to really look, we realize we are such a metaphorical creature.
Mm.
And actually, those are where our solutions are, right? Because we're working in that metaphorical world, even though we don't understand that we're there. But I think if we can do what you said there, Caroline, is just, have something that we have a go to, Like you've got your jigsaw puzzles, and I have needlework and knitting
Mm.
and cooking and whatever that is. But if we did it with purpose, right? And we're back in purpose, I guess, a little bit. If we did it in purpose and we used that as a place to springboard, to activate, to ignite, um, then and understand that that's what it does. That's the match. It's the striker where we actually take that action is where we strike and light the fire. So yeah, those were the things that I was thinking about. And it was really lovely to hear, about the boundary, being able to know. And I think that does require a real sense of an inner self that understands when we're in one state and when we're in another, and to be very clear about those as we navigate the field.
Mm.
Yeah, those were the
Um,
things that came up for me.
Yeah, no, I wanted to share, but I can't share it with you. I wanted to share the actual image of Ikigai, but people can look it up, and that's why I was thinking when you were talking, Caroline, earlier about the separation. Um, we don't need to separate things. If you look at Ikigai, right, it's four circles, right? And they're concentric. They each are within each other, and then in the complete middle there's that circular square, if you will, right? And that's the ikigai, that's the purpose. But each circle takes part of the other circles, right? And there are four of them. It's what you love, what the world needs, what you can get paid for, and what you're good at.
Mm.
And so when you combine them all together, it means that each circle touches the other one, and that's where you find ikigai, right? And if you look at two circles for each part, you'll find um, where you find your mission, for instance. That's what you love and what the world needs. Where you look at what you're good at and what you can get paid for, that's your passion. What you get paid for and what the world needs, that's a vocation. Um, what you love and what you're good at, that's your passion. The other one, paid for, and what you're good at, that's profession. So you see, you can separate, but they're not separate. They're together,
Mm.
right? There's another concept that I wanted to bring back or bring along because it's also part of the Japanese way of living, and it's harahachibu. Okay. Harahachibu is the 80% or 70%. The idea is to fill yourself up to 70%. Now, when it comes to food, the Japanese, they serve lots of small plates. When you're having dinner, there are lots of small plates. And the concept is that you eat up to your 70% full
Mm-hmm.
because you don't need more than that. And what we forget to do in our life is we keep filling ourselves with responsibilities, with actions that we have to do. Oh, I need to fix this. I need to do that. I have to do this. I have to do this. And we fill ourselves to the maximum. And, and that's when we don't have space enough for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that concept is also very, very important. And it's everything in life is that harahachibu. Because applying it's an old Zen concept. I can't remember in the book where it comes from, but it's a very old Zen concept
Mm.
where if you apply it to food, you apply it to your life, you apply it to everything that you do, then you will always have that 30% left for yourself.
I love that.
And that's where you can do that change. That's where that growth can happen. That's where the time to love yourself, to take care of yourself, to do certain other things are part of it. Uh, there's there's an old Japanese proverb that I really like, and it's part of the like part of in one of the books that I read about Ikigai. I don't really like mentioning, but there is a book called Ikigai, the Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life. It's by
Mm.
two authors, Hector Garcia and Frances Miralles. The book talks about the different concepts of Ikigai and how they are taught and how they are instilled in people
Mm-hmm.
in the Japanese culture, so that everything that they do and partake in has a meaning, has purpose, and so they become purposeful and they have that balance in life, that harmony, right? Um, Only staying active will make you want to live 100 years.
Mm.
Staying active, for those that misinterpret things, doesn't mean constantly doing things. I see it every day, here especially. As soon as there is sun, you find lots of people, they start, oh, I need to fix the stairs here, and I'm going to paint the fence, and I'm going to start doing that because it's sunny. So, uh, chair, sa, boo. Is it a necessity to paint the fence? No. Will it live another year? Yeah. Is it rotten? No. What's the point? Why fill my time with things that have no necessity when I can use that time to do other things that bring joy, that cause me to be active with myself, with my family, or to actually enjoy life? Don't fill your life. Stay at the 70%. The same concept is taught in the Muslim culture. The same concept. The concept is the same. It's 30% food, 30% water, 30% oxygen, and the rest for something else. Or like the 10, I think it was 30, 30, 30 or something like that, or 25, 25, 25. I can't remember exactly, but it's the same concept.
Mm.
Why? So that you have balance in your body and in your soul. So I think this is what I would recommend people to think about when they are feeling that sense of dimmed light. How are you think about what are you filling your days and your life with? Are you filling them with, sorry, Caroline, unnecessary thoughts of why did they not invite me? Why does it matter? Are you filling your life with, oh, we have to do this, I have to build this, I have to fix this, I have to do that? Take it easy. Be joyful and be present in the moment. See what what you want out of your life. Don't fill it to the max. Leave a little bit space.
Mm.
I love that, Kamal. Carol, Annie, you know what? You are loved. Don't worry about people going on a holiday and doing whatever they want. You may find that they're doing you a favor. You are
Yeah.
loved here at Ngozi Talk Shows. You
This
keep
Thank
shining
sorry,
your
I'm
light.
gonna say something that my
you.
dad used to always nag about something especially when I was a teenager, and then afterwards in my 20s, he's like, there's an expression in Arabic, and it's called lemubale. Lemubale is the concept of not giving a rat's behind about anything. And he used to say, you've got that in life. Of course, I'm not saying have it completely, right? There are certain things you want to obviously take care of, but not caring about anything at all, in a sense, gives you that freedom to, wait, did a friend call? No. Okay. Do I want to call? Eh.
Yeah. It's not taking it personally, isn't it? That's what the
That's
bottom
it.
line
It's
is.
just like,
Yeah, yeah,
why does it matter?
yeah.
It's just,
But it's being able to recognize when it does trigger you and do something about
Of
it,
course,
because
that's something.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
key. But yeah,
So I'm
right,
that
I got it
I'm done
totally.
bullying you today.
I just like when Kamal was saying we fill ourselves with the necessary responsibilities.
Yeah.
I actually chose for the past 2 weeks, I've been praying one prayer for God to fill me with the holy fire within me, like removing every blockage. So yesterday, my pastor, there's something that I needed to do before, and she said, "Oh, you have to go to Nigeria." And then, okay, I've been praying and praying. And then yesterday, I'm talking to her. She goes, "Oh, by the way, you don't have," I was like, "I'm going to Nigeria in November." She goes, "Oh, by the way, you don't have to go to Nigeria. You can go to London." So I'm thinking in my heart, all of this time you knew I can go to London and you forgot to tell me and you suggested for me to go to Nigeria. I was like, that's another blockage. And then when I finished talking to her, Carol Annie brings the training now, the link for financial breakthrough. I was like, oh, here we go again. That's another blockage. Yes.
Oh, don't
So
you
I
just
was
love
like,
it?
okay, so I've been doing this. Honestly, I have been refusing to do anything, rather just praying about this blockage that is blocking, and Gary asking him, fire, what is ignite me with the fire, holy fire. And then my pastor changes. Now, no, you can go and do this training. Is here in the UK. The training has been always in the UK. Someone was a block somehow she forgot. And then Carol Ann now, because it's the breakthrough that I need, Carol Ann brings another solution for me that I can use for training. And then something happened again last week. No, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I've been talking to this person. And then all of a suddenly, they just decide, okay, I'm gonna put you in there to train people. So I was like, oh, that's another block as well. So I was like, how many blocks? Where are these blocks? What is blocking all these things? So things are just showing up because I have just decided to stop putting myself with too many responsibilities and just focus and be in the present moment. And Kamal, I love you so much because you've just confirmed something. And also, Shireen, you said understand what is play. I have also decided that I'm not really going to take life too serious. I'm going to focus on what I need to breakthrough from, and I'm not going to stop until I get to that breakthrough, but I'm going to do it in a funny way. And also, Carol Annie, you said it, playing with life, who is showing up into your life. And I hope that advice you gave it to us regarding your cousins going away and then it triggers. I hope you're going to take that because for me, I've taken it. I'm just going to be aware that I'm not going to let things trigger me that are not necessary. Mostly the things that helps me is when I find myself complicating life, I think about Kamau. Kamau goes, why do you care about all these things? Just focus on these things that are important. So I think about you and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna uh like focus on things that are not necessary. Responsibilities, like I'm a mom. I've just decided, you know what? Life can be fun if I can make it fun. But at the same time, I want to be a billionaire, but in a fun way. So that's where Carol Ann come through.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
9 minutes past, guys.
I'm just gonna leave. There's a quote by Brianna West. Your spark can be dim, but it never disappears. Reignite it with truth, rest, and a return to what you love. And I think that beautifully sums up what we've been saying, and just realize that actually consider that the fire has never gone out. It's just buried under the ashes of survival. And all it needs is that oxygen bit of space and intention to come alive again. So that's just what I'd like to leave our listeners with. Shireen, what would you like to leave them
No,
with?
I think that you've summed up everything. I think they're all very beautiful. And, I think as we were talking earlier on, is that, there